Hey guys, in this video I'll be giving you a full overview and installation guide for Nexus Playbook, walking you through everything from downloading a Windows ISO all the way to applying the playbook and seeing the results. Let's get into it. So here we are on our website, getnexus.cc. We offer 3 products: Nexus Tool, which I'll cover in an upcoming video, Nexus Playbook, which I'm going to showcase right now, and overclocking services, where we offer CPU, GPU, and RAM overclocking, along with full BIOS tuning. So here's a screenshot of the app interface. Before we get into the guide, let me explain the core architectural difference between Nexus Playbook and what else is out there, because this is important. Let's start with custom ISOs. A custom ISO is a pre-configured Windows installer. The problem is you get 0 customization before the install happens. You have no control over what's being added to or removed from your system. Some scripts and tools exist to make minor changes, but they're limited. And more critically, custom ISOs sourced from unverified third parties carry a real risk of bundled malware. You're trusting a stranger's pre-built image with your entire system. Now, traditional playbooks executed through AME Wizard are a step up. They're definitely better than custom ISO, but they come with their own set of problems. Most of them only work on specific Windows versions, so if you're not on the exact build they were designed for, you're out of luck. They also lack deep system component removal, leaving behind leftover system components that can corrupt the component store over time. And some require you to have the latest cumulative updates installed before they'll even run. And on top of all that, AME Wizard is notoriously slow when applying playbooks. That's where Nexus comes in. We have our own playbook executor, fast, efficient, and built specifically for this purpose. You have full control over exactly what gets added or removed from your system. Our playbooks support every Windows version, from Windows 1020 H2 all the way up to Windows 1126 H2. And unlike AME Wizard, our executor performs deep system component removal. Components we've consistently found AME Wizard misses entirely. That translates directly into real results: lower idle RAM usage, fewer background processes, and a cleaner, faster system right from the start. We offer 4 playbooks: Nexus OS 10 Superlight and Ultralight, and Nexus OS 11 Superlight and Ultralight. You can hover over the cards on the website to see exactly what each tier includes before you purchase. And since you're paying for it, you get priority support from us directly. Scrolling down, you'll find some benchmarks. Worth noting, our team didn't run these. They were done independently by our beta testers to remove any bias toward our own product. We'll come back to that later in the video. We also have a AutoUnattend XML creator on the website. I'll explain what that is and why you need it shortly. And as a side note, if you don't want to go through this guide yourself, or if you're new to this and just want peace of mind, we offer a setup service for $10. We'll do a clean install of Windows, apply the playbook, install optimal drivers, back up your data, and get your system set up for streaming or whatever your workflow is. Just join our Discord and open a purchase ticket from this channel, and one of our team members will take it from there. At the bottom of the page, you'll also find some FAQs to help you decide between the tool and the playbook, and between Superlight and Ultralight. If you still have questions, come join the Discord. We're happy to help. Now let's get into the guide. You can run this playbook on your existing Windows installation, but I'd strongly recommend doing a clean install first for the best results. I'll show you 2 ways to get a Windows ISO. First is through the Media Creation tool, or just grab an ISO directly by selecting Windows 11 and hitting Download Now, then picking your region and language. Simple. The drawback here is that Microsoft doesn't provide ISOs with the latest cumulative update included, so after installing, you'll still need to update to get current security patches. Second method is what I personally prefer. Go to uupdump.net. Here you can find every Windows edition and version available. For this guide, I'll go with the June 2026 cumulative update build. Click on 25H2 and look for the latest dated Windows 11 entry at the top of the list. That'll always be the most current build, regardless of when you're watching this. Make sure you select the x64 architecture. Select your language. I'll go with English, United States. Then pick your edition. I'll uncheck Windows Home and keep Pro only. Click on Create Download Package and download the zip file. Create a folder on your desktop. Keep the folder name short with no spaces. The download script will fail otherwise. I'll just call it 25H2. Extract the zip contents into that folder, then run the UUP download windows.cmd file as administrator. This will download the update packages and compile them into an ISO file automatically. The trade-off with this method is that you're not downloading a pre-built ISO, you're downloading packages that then get compiled, so it takes a bit longer, but you end up with a fully up-to-date ISO. Once it's done, the ISO file will appear right in the same folder. Now download Rufus and plug in your USB drive. Click Select, browse to the ISO you just compiled, and click Start. Rufus will ask you about Windows User Experience options. Uncheck everything and click OK. The reason I asked you to uncheck everything in Rufus is because we're going to handle all of that through our Windows Unattend XML creator on the website instead. And it does a lot more than Rufus's options. The unattend file bypasses secure boot and TPM installation requirements. It disables BitLocker auto drive encryptions. It disables automatic driver installation, which often installs buggy or outdated drivers. And it also bypasses the Microsoft online account requirement and creates a local account of your choice. You can either enable the built-in administrator account or create a named local user account. I'll go with the administrator account and leave the password field empty. Click on the Generate button and download the file. Once Rufus finishes writing to the USB drive, open the USB and File Explorer and place the AutoUnattend file in the root directory, the top level of the drive, not inside any folder, and that's it. Now restart your computer, boot from the USB, and Windows will install automatically on your selected drive. Alright, Windows is installed. I've also put my chipset and GPU drivers on since I need them for OBS to record this, but I'd recommend running the Playbook before installing any drivers for the cleanest result. Quick baseline before we apply anything. 141 processes running, approximately 4.4 to 5 gigabytes RAM used out of 32 gigabytes. Keep those numbers in mind. Here's the Nexus Playbook executable. Double-click to open it, now click on Next and enter your credentials. It would be your email address you used to purchase and the license key you received. Click on Load Playbook. All the playbooks tied to your license will appear. For this video, I'm going with Nexus 11 Superlight, which is the recommended choice for most users. Load it and press Next. Read through the terms on the screen, then click Next and agree. Before execution starts, there are a couple of requirements. Here it's asking me to disable UCPD and Windows Defender. UCPD, also known as User Choice Protection Driver, is a Windows component that prevents changes to default app assignments. It needs to be disabled for the Playbook, and the same goes for Windows Defender since it can block the low-level system changes. Click on Disable and then press Next. All these changes are temporary, and Windows Defender and UCPD will be enabled automatically after the Playbook is applied. Click on Configure Options and take your time on this screen. These are the choices that shape your final system. First option is to select a browser of your choice. I'll go with Brave. Next is the option to remove Windows Defender permanently. This frees up a lot of CPU cycles and system resources. I'll remove it since I know what I'm doing, but only do this if you're confident you don't need it. If you're unsure, keep it. Next option is to select what components you want to remove. The Playbook removes most bloat by default, but leaves the items listed here, so you can opt in. I'll check everything: Copilot, OneDrive, Microsoft Store, and the Xbox app. Next option is to select the additional runtimes and software you want to install. I'd recommend installing all of these, since these are used by a wide range of games and apps, and this option saves you from missing dependency errors later. Next up is some additional customization options. These are totally up to you. Once everything is configured, click on Next and then click on Start. Now sit back and relax while it does its thing. Your PC will restart automatically once it's done. All right, here we are. Let's check the numbers. Processes are down to the low 60s, and the RAM usage went from 5 gigabytes down to 2.5 gigabytes. And remember, this is after I've installed all of my drivers with OBS actively running in the background recording this. On a clean install with no extras, you'd be looking at even lower. The start menu is clean, no broken icons, no leftover Defender shortcut. That's something I've consistently seen AME wizard playbooks leave behind. Nexus doesn't. You'll also notice a small utility called Configurator on your desktop. This lets you toggle features on and off after the playbook has been applied. So if you want to re-enable something you removed or reinstall a browser of app you didn't pick during the setup, you can do it from here. Driver installers are also downloadable from here. It's a handy safety net. Now, let's talk performance. These benchmarks were run independently by our beta testers, not by us, across 4 different titles, comparing stock Windows against AtlasOS, FSOS, XOS, and Nexus. All tests on the same hardware. On Valorant, stock Windows had 437 average frames per second, with 212 on the 1% lows. When compared to the others, Nexus leads on both with 33.3% improvement in average FPS and 41% improvements in the 1% lows. Counter-Strike 2, stock Windows had 305 average FPS, with 103 on the 1% lows. Nexus wins in both the cases, with 24% increase in average FPS and 14% on the 1% lows. On Fortnite, stock Windows had 285 average FPS, with 159 on the 1% lows. Nexus leads on both with 9.7% increase in average FPS and 7% on the 1% lows. On GTA 5 or FiveM, Nexus dominates the competition with 35% boost in average FPS and 30% boost on the 1% lows. On this benchmark, only Nexus is the one that moves the needle in a meaningful way. The next set of benchmarks is conducted on a higher-end system. Shout out to Peach for conducting these benchmarks. He's a great guy. He also went a step further while benchmarking and tested the Playbook, combined with the Nexus tool, which is our separate optimization utility, to see how much performance gain he can get out of the two. First up is Counter-Strike 2. Stock Windows sits at 940 average FPS. XOS and Atlas push it to 980 and 1020. FSOS gets to 1098. Nexus alone hits 1100. And with the tool combined, it takes it to 1253. On Fortnite, stock Windows is at 798 average FPS. The competition clusters between 810 and 833, which are marginal gains. Nexus pulls ahead at 865. And with the tool combined, it reaches up to 948. Nearly 150 FPS over stock Windows. On Valorant, stock Windows averages at 910 FPS with 667 in 1% lows. Atlas, FSOS, XOS all hover in the low 900s. Nexus alone jumps to 1000 FPS with 712 1% lows, and with the tool combined, it reaches up to 1100 FPS. Since Forza Horizon 6 is a GPU-bound title, the margins are tighter across the board. Stock Windows is at 265 FPS, and Nexus lands at 282 average FPS. And with the tool combined, it reaches up to 300. Same story on Cyberpunk 2077. Again, a GPU-bound title. Interestingly, XOS actually drops below stock here at 250 average frames per second. Nexus hits 271 average frames per second with 215 1% lows. And with the tool combined, it reaches up to 284 in average frames per second with 230 and 1% lows. Overall, Nexus leads on average frames per second in every single title and maintains the best 1% lows across all of them, which means not just higher frames, but smoother, more consistent gameplay. So that's Nexus Playbook, built to give you a cleaner, faster, and overall the best experience possible compared to everything else out there. Again, if you don't want to go through the installation yourself, grab our $10 setup service. We'll handle the installation, deployment of Playbook, drivers, and system setup for you end to end. If you're interested in pushing your hardware further, we also offer CPU, GPU, and RAM overclocking. Links to everything are in the description. If you have any questions, join our Discord. The community and our team are active and happy to help. If this video was helpful, drop a like and subscribe. It genuinely helps, and I'll see you in the next one.